insists he did nothing wrong.
I think you're going to find there's nothing there. I have no regrets.
Plus warning signs. American politics teetering on the edge. From the court to Congress to special counsel probes and rising extremist threats. After losing an election and claiming it was rigged, a Republican candidate is arrested and charged in connection with shootings at the homes of 4 Democratic lawmakers.
An attack on an elected official is an attack on democracy.
New Mexico, just the latest example of election denialism sparking political violence. And Post Roe, 50 years after the landmark Supreme Court decision granting a constitutional right to abortion, the debate over reproductive rights has shifted, with the ruling now overturned.
We didn't learn anything after overturning of Roe v. Wade. We buried our head in the sand.
But if you think either side is open to finding a middle ground, think again. My guest this morning, Democratic Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia and Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace of South Carolina. Plus, lasting impact.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
The Lewinsky scandal and its consequences still influencing American political life 25 years later. Joining me for insight and analysis are NBC News Chief White House Correspondent Kristen Welker, Republican strategist Brendan Buck, New York Times Chief White House Correspondent Peter Baker, and Kimberly Atkins Storr, Senior Opinion Writer for the Boston Globe. Welcome to Sunday. It's Meet the Press.
From NBC News in Washington, the longest-running show in television history. This is Meet the Press with Chuck Todd.
Good Sunday morning. Boy, our democracy and our politics, they feel like we're at a breaking point. We have rising political violence, fueled by election denialism, economic brinksmanship in Congress, a Supreme Court, relationships between the justices so strained after an unprecedented leak, they've yet to issue an opinion this term. And trust in the court from the public never been lower. And this morning, we're waking up to reports of another mass shooting with at least 10 dead at a Lunar New Year event in Monterey Park, California. Details are still coming in. No need to jump to conclusions, but let's be honest, these events do not exactly bring comfort to our current political system. We don't handle these well or solve these problems. And if all of this wasn't enough, adding to this instability, we have both the current and former presidents under investigation. And on Saturday night, the White House revealed more classified information was found at Biden's Wilmington home after what was a remarkable 13-hour FBI-led search on Friday of the home of the sitting president. It wasn't a subpoena. It was a cooperative search. It was done with the president's legal team acknowledging it. They said they offered to provide prompt access to his home, and that 6 more items with classified markings were indeed found, including documents from Biden's time as a senator as well as vice president. And this FBI search comes just days after Biden said he had no regrets about how he's handled these issue of classified documents and how he's talked to the public about it, but it's likely to prompt more comparisons between the current and former presidents. Though, of course, Mr. Trump and his advisors are also being investigated for obstructing their probe. Then we have the issue of election denialism. That's been fueled by Donald Trump. And sadly, it appears it's given some of his supporters a permission slip to commit political violence. The case in New Mexico this week is just the latest in a string of violent incidents rooted in election denialism, from the assault on Brazil's capital by supporters of the former president there, where Trump allies actually helped sow doubts about those election results. We had the attack on Paul Pelosi just days before the midterm elections as well. And then finally, we have this manufactured crisis here in Washington, this escalating rhetoric over the debt limit. It's a reminder of just how fractured right now the Republican Party is, because it's Republicans wanting to have this fight in an attempt to rebrand themselves as the party of fiscal discipline, if you will, after they oversaw an explosive rise in the national debt under President Donald Trump. So Republicans are trying to use this debate to try to unify them around an issue, cutting spending. Democrats, of course, now see an opportunity to paint House Republicans as extremists. The reality is, of course, at the end of the day, this debt limit